Hey guys, my name's Brian. I'm a brand new first officer, and I just finished my first sequence of flights as an airline pilot. And as Johnny Cash would say, I've been everywhere, man. I'm in College Station. I'm in South Carolina, Miami. I just landed in Birmingham. I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Dallas. I'm in Jacksonville. And I need a brush. If you've been following the channel recently, I mentioned that I was going to try to document this first sequence of trips in real time. But what happened is I got out and my laptop died. I'm not very technical. I don't know how these things work. Some of you smarter IT folks might have known how to fix it, but I'm just going to drill a hole in it, dunk it in the pool, and send it off to the landfill. You may or may not know, I've been a pilot for 14 years now, mostly flying around single engine, piston airplanes. But I did... my IT career ended after 25 years, and I did decide I wanted to go make a run at the airlines and become an airline pilot. So I recently got my ATP and that's my airline transport pilot certificate, and I got type rated in this guy right here, the Embraer 175. My initial trip as a first officer was a 3-day trip consisting of 10 legs. The first leg was from DFW to Greenville, South Carolina. I was pilot monitoring and the captain was pilot flying. These are the two roles that actually switch periodically. Pilot flying is the one doing the manual manipulation of the controls, flying the airplane. Pilot monitoring handles the radios, monitors the systems, and communicates any important information to the pilot flying. I was glad to take the pilot monitoring role for this first trip just because everything's so new. Up until now, I had only flown in the simulators, which are remarkably accurate, but now I'm on the plane, there's people behind me, the sounds, the smells, everything is real, and it's very exciting. So you have that kid in the back of your head that always wanted to do this who's super excited, and you got to tell him to shut up because you got a job to do, but it's there. So it was amazing to have that first-person view rolling down the runway in this massive jet and just get to experience that for the first time. So I think it was good that I was the monitoring pilot instead of the flying pilot for the first one, just to get that the emotions and all the stuff that go with this under control. The flight to Greenville was pretty uneventful other than the fact that it was actually happening and I was a part of it. There was a pinch me moment there where I'm just looking around this cockpit going, I know what all this stuff does. I'm a part of this. I'm a part of a crew. I am getting these people where they need to go. It was awesome. But in flight, I was basically just what you would expect. We did a kind of a point A to point B. We did a approach into Greenville, South Carolina. Captain handled the landing. Everything was great. Then the people got off the plane. The next group of people got on, and it was time for a trip back to DFW. For the flight back to DFW, we'd be switching roles. I'd be pilot flying and the captain would be pilot monitoring. So this would be my first time flying not just an airliner, but a plane this big, this heavy, with this many people. A lot about this was going to be brand new. As we're taxiing up to the runway, because I'm a brand new first officer and mostly because I'm me, something funny happened. And so this segment I will refer to as Funny Thing of the Day. Funny Thing of the Day. We're holding short of the runway before we depart, and the captain looks over and says, hey, can you confirm runway heading is 040? And what a normal person would do is they would bring up their chart or their iPad or wherever you keep that information, and under the runway diagram, there's a little number that tells you the actual heading because they ask you to fly runway heading. That's what a normal person would do when asked to verify, confirm runway heading. What I did was I keyed up the mic and talked to the tower and said, I'd like to confirm that this runway is heading 040. Picture a captain slapping a first officer's hand away from the push the talk button and going, what are you doing? So yeah, instead of checking the chart, I keyed the tower and said, well, what's the runway heading? The good news is the runway, the tower confirmed for me, is actually heading the direction that it was intended when they built it. It also does match the numbers that were painted on the runway. So we got the confirmation. If you fly to Greenville, South Carolina, the runway is indeed heading 040. You don't have to ask the tower. I've taken care of that for you. Once we confirmed runway heading, it was time to fly runway heading. So we pulled out onto the runway, did a positive exchange of controls just like you do in any aircraft. We went through our takeoff sequence, V1, rotate, and pulled this beast into the air, and that was such an exciting moment. The flight into DFW was kind of a non-event. Again, just flying an airplane, pilot monitoring's taking care of the radios, and everything's normal. As we got into the airport, it got a little bit busy. DFW is a Class Bravo airport. It's got a lot of traffic coming in from all different sides. And so they do some things that kind of don't always go to your plan. You plan an arrival, but they may pull you off the arrival, put you back on the arrival, give you speeds, give you altitudes, because they're trying to meter traffic coming in from all over. So there are a couple of moments where I felt like I was getting a little bit behind the plane. But this is why they have a check airman sitting in the left seat, because they know how to read FOs and say, hey, this is normal, here's what we need to do, and kind of course correct a little bit. One cool thing, I landed the airplane. The landing was fine. My biggest, I think, debrief item after the landing was I was a little bit, I think, either right or left of center line. So one of the things that I focused on through the sequence was really fighting for the center line. I landed, and then we got out of the plane. I had a text from my dad. My parents live just north of DFW Airport. They'd been following the flight on FlightAware and got this video of me flying over their house, which was pretty cool. Once we were on the ground in DFW, things got really busy. We were only supposed to be on the ground for a little over a half an hour, and we were changing planes. This means I've got to get off the plane, I've got to put on the latest in fall fashion, which is this high visibility day glow vest, and I got to go do a post-flight walk around on the aircraft that we just landed. Once that's done, I got to get back on the plane, get my bags, we got to go to the next gate, and then I've got to go to the other airplane that we're going to be flying and do a pre-flight walk around, again, in the super stylish high visibility vest. This was a flight from Dallas to College Station. It was a later flight. It was only 30 minutes. And when we took off, it was nighttime. It was beautiful. It was smooth. Everything was great. Somewhere around 10,000 feet, we were discussing something, and I heard a noise that sounded like this. I was like, oh my gosh, what was that? I had no idea. And then I looked over at the captain's windshield, and it was covered in blood. And we were at 10,000 feet, so I know we didn't hit a person. I'm guessing it was a bird, because what was on that windscreen certainly looked like it used to be a bird. I didn't know birds flew that high, but apparently some birds do. So we had a bird strike on the window, and for about a minute I was kind of like, I had my guard up, just because in my plane that would be like, probably need to land, there's probably some damage. This plane can take a beating. After we landed in College Station, I walked around. Aside from smudges on the glass, no damage, no nothing. So something that would have been a problem in my Comanche or my small plane flying is, for the most part, not a big deal with these larger aircraft.
I don't know if you all have picked up on how exciting this is for me to watch Brian kind of live this dream. When I was 16, this boy took me to Addison Airport to watch airplanes land and told me that he was going to be a pilot one day. And now 30 years later, I'm sitting on a commercial flight that he is piloting. So it's pretty badass. And you know, this guy keeps his word. You know, it just takes a few decades, but here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be airborne in just a few moments. Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
I know that guy.
So College Station was the end of that trip for the day. Went to the hotel, got up the next morning, and deadheaded, which I've never done before, to Miami. So when we're deadheading, we're basically passengers. We're dressed in our pilot uniforms, so that brings up conversation. We're engaging with the crew of that flight, and my captain said, "Hey, why don't you observe some of the stuff they're doing? Everything's a learning opportunity." And so I did kind of watch some of their prep that they were doing for the flight. I went out with the first officer and did the walk around pre-flight just to get more iterations of doing these things, so I could learn. We deadheaded to Miami, and we got on our plane, and we flew from Miami to Jacksonville, and then back to Miami, and then to North Carolina. All these flights were very normal. There was some weather that we dodged, and ATC would give you vectors to stay a certain distance from storms that were building. We had one landing back in Miami where the weather was gusting and stuff like that, and the captain took that landing, did a fantastic job. I have certain restrictions on what the winds are that I can land at, so sometimes if it's beyond what I'm allowed to do, the captain will do that landing. So she did an amazing job. The next day, we woke up in North Carolina, and it was what they call go home day, which means that there was a ground delay for 2 hours, which they let us know about after we'd pushed back from the gate. So you got a plane full of passengers and pilots, and we push back, and we're about to start the engines, and we get the notice that we're going to be sitting there for 2 hours. At the end of the day, we only ended up on the ground waiting for about an hour before DFW had closed for weather. They opened it back up. We flew in. Again, everything was normal, nothing outside of what we've already talked about with those first couple of flights I dived into. Fairly normal landing, getting better at centerline every time. And that was it. Went home, and my first leg of what's called IOE, initial operating experience, was complete. So the first phase of my IOE was complete, and then I had 3, maybe 4 days off. And it's very nice. In my prior life, when I had a day off, work was always hanging over me. A server would go down, I've got to go into the office, something would break. If I'm on vacation, the laptop's with me. Work never leaves you. It was very nice. I have a pretty large family, and we grabbing dinners and going to each other's houses and talking about this journey I'm on and asking questions, and just very, very relaxed and calm. Because now when I'm off, and it's wonderful. That's one aspect I think I'm really going to like about this job. So now, break's over. It's time to go do the second phase of IOE. My new captain calls me. We have a conversation and kind of fill each other out. He asked me, what have you debriefed? What are you struggling on? That's the stuff I want to focus on. So I gave him a list of things that the prior captain and I had talked about, as well as some things where I just have a little bit of confusion. He says, all right, that's where we're going to focus. If I see any other things that need to be refined, we'll add that to what we're focusing on. This is, we're going to do what we can to make this successful. He was an amazing captain, an amazing teacher. I'm pretty forthright when people ask me my weaknesses in interviews. I always say I'm a slow learner. I am. I'm a slow learner, but once I learn something, I will be the best at it. But it takes me a few iterations to get stuff. He was able to teach me things that I was able to implement on the next leg. And so I constantly felt like learning was happening. It felt really good. It helped the confidence. So I really enjoyed flying with this captain. We did DFW to Amarillo, back to DFW, to Wilmington, North Carolina, back to DFW to Oklahoma City, back to DFW. So lots of different varied experience, long trips and short trips. And then the very last trip was Oklahoma City to Dallas-Fort Worth. And right before we fired up the airplane, he goes, okay, this is your check ride. Don't wig out. And I was like, I wouldn't have if you hadn't just said that. No, it was fine. There was a little bit of stress that I could feel I was putting on myself as I was getting started on this, just because I knew there was going to be a sign-off or not at the end of it. But through this process, I've been given some tricks, some breathing stuff to get that stuff out of my head, and I've gotten pretty good at pushing the imposter syndrome aside. So once I cleared my head, did what I know how to do, we took off and had a very normal flight to DFW Airport. Landing, this might have been the smoothest landing I've ever had. The passengers didn't want to get off the plane because they didn't know the plane was on the ground. That's a lie. But it was such a smooth landing on centerline. Everything was good. And you've just had a great landing when you're focused here and you just see the fist right there waiting for the fist bump. And he gave the fist bump. He sat complete, which means I passed. And so I'm now free to go fly without the supervision of a check airman. So it was a really, really smooth landing. And I haven't been in a service environment since I was a waiter as a kid. To open the cockpit door and have people be like, hey, thank you very much. Great landing. Shake your hand, fist bump, whatever. I'm like, oh, this is cool. These people appreciate that we got them here safely, or whatever it is they appreciate. It was kind of weird to open up and be like, oh, I'm customer facing. So it was very rewarding to have that great landing, have the fist bump moment with the captain, and then have people getting off saying great job. Like I left like walking on water. Me and the captain went into the terminal and we sat down, and he did go through a list of things he wants to see me improve on. I've got the list, and there are things I'm thinking through and working on, and I'll continue to work on them throughout my flights. This is flying, they always say it's a license to learn. You're going to learn on every flight, and my plan is to learn and work on all these things. So at the end of the day, I completed my IOE, my instruction. I've flown an airliner on like 18, 19 legs now, and it's amazing. I'm really glad right now I made this choice. I know it'll become a job at a point, and that's fine. I still think it'll be better than other things that had become jobs in my past. But I'm glad I did it. I'm out there, and I'm about to go hit the line in 2 days. Not for real. Those last flights were for real, but now it's just me and a captain who's not a check airman, and it's us working as a crew to get people where they need to go. So it's been awesome. The captains I flew with were incredible. These are folks who, they really care. They want to help. They want to train you. They're like, here's my cell phone number. If something comes up and you have a question, call me. I'm going to help you. So the training, there's so many people in the training department. I spent probably 4 hours yesterday writing thank you notes to all the instructors and the people in the training department who helped me, because you raise your hand and say, hey, I'm struggling, and someone will go, hey, let me take time out of my day to go walk you through or help you understand something you're struggling with. Like, some really great people through this process helped me out tremendously. Unless you're just some super brilliant person, I don't know that you're going to get from the start to the end successfully if you're a lone wolf. Like, it does take a team. It's a crew until you retire. So you got to kind of have that mentality, and definitely in this training it was like that. So that's it. That's my first experience as an airline pilot, as a first officer flying to me, which is a big twin-engine jet. It's an absolute blast. There's so much to learn. It is a lot of information. I'm enjoying it so far. I can't wait to get back out there and do it some more. I may have mentioned that I have this other video that I've been working on. I did kind of document my entire journey from when basically I decided I'm going to go try to be an airline pilot through the training, how I got here. It's a giant, massive video that's going to come out, and you're going to see how long it is and be like, I'm not watching that. It's fine. But I have to very carefully edit it. I work for a company now, and I don't have any footage of the training. It's not something I would try to do. They don't want you to do it. So I'm going through and getting B-roll from Storyblocks and some of these other sites where we get that to try to put together as interesting as I can make it, the training process and kind of my thoughts as I was going through this. There were times when things were natural and coming to me quickly, and there are things where it was a struggle and I was really fighting to stay ahead. But so I'm building that story. It's probably going to take a while. So you will probably see videos of me out flying and learning, and I certainly have videos I'm going to continue to do in the Comanche. So there's going to be stuff that continues to progress, and then we'll rewind for the big, like, what was it like? How did you get here? So that's coming. That's all I got. I want to thank everyone who's my phone blows up every time I'm about to go do a check ride with. If you mention, people message me on Instagram, and I almost never check it. And I go in there, there's like 80 messages going, how'd it go? Or wishing you luck, or you've got this. I'm getting support from a lot of directions, and I'm super appreciative for everybody who has thrown support my direction. If I haven't responded to you, it's not because I'm ignoring anybody. It's just I've been communicating with a lot of people throughout this, and a lot of people just from having an online platform know what I'm going through and have been reaching out. So if I haven't gotten to you, it's because I'm lazy, right? So I'm not avoiding anybody. But I appreciate the support. Thank you guys. Lots more to come. Lots more information about this whole process, and I mean the career change part too. This was a life change for me and my family, and that took a toll. So there's a whole lot to unwrap, and I'm going to unwrap it. It's just going to take a while to get the video edited. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. You guys fly smart, and I'll catch you in the next one. Click this link to see the most recent video upload. Click this link to see a video that YouTube thinks you might like. Click this link to subscribe to my channel.